Hi, Michaela. See if I can make my light better in the process. Oh, there's no. It still says connecting to audio. This window a little bit. I don't know. It still says connecting to audio. Aha! There she is. Hi.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Is it Michaela?
It's Michaela or Misha, whichever works better.
Or Misha. Okay, either works. Great. Oh my God, it looks like such a nice day over there.
It is. It's absolutely gorgeous.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being willing to do this with us. I'm so excited.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Yes.
And
Yeah.
Jordan's got you all prepped, right? You don't need anything else.
No, it's
Okay.
all good. You'll do the intro. You pass the word to me. I'll
Yep.
run sort of 45 minutes, and then we'll have a Q&A from the audience. But again, as I was saying, just keep asking me as we go, right?
You
It's
know,
much
and
better.
yeah, and I think honestly, I will just incorporate questions as you go
Yeah.
because I would
Great.
rather, people be like, "Oh, what's that thing?" and then us
Yes.
talk
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
versus like doing a Q&A at the end.
No.
So
No.
let's
That's
just
much better.
go. Perfect.
Okay.
Then
All
yeah,
right.
so then I'll spend maybe 5 minutes introducing you. And then if we end early, that's fine. But however, I'm like
Yeah.
totally go with the flow kind of person. So we're gonna
Yeah.
have a lot of fun.
I mean, I doubt we'll end up early.
I know. Well, be careful. I'm gonna be like, go into that restaurant and talk to the guy and tell me what he said.
I have no problem with that.
Perfect. I love it. Great. Well, and I know Jordan told you it's a holiday weekend here.
Yes. So
So
we're not expecting a crowd. Yeah.
I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm excited to have this recorded so people can watch along the way. And I don't know if Jordan mentioned to you, but I would love to talk more about other ways that we can continue to support your work in our community. So let's make sure to touch base about that afterward.
Yeah, that would be great. And I really like what you guys do. So I'd be more than happy to connect it and, somehow think up of other ways how we can cooperate, because I really always enjoy your newsletters, and whatever you guys do, I try to join. So it's
How did you learn about us? Did Jordan find you first or did you find us?
I think it was thanks to Czech Tourism Board, because
Oh,
you
nice.
guys
Yeah.
have the she travels, and I don't remember the name of the event, and one of our guides ran a Jewish quarter tour, which
That's
Czech
right.
Tourism asked us to do it
Awesome.
for you guys, and I think that's maybe how Jordan remembered, and then she reached out
I
that she'd
love
like to
it.
do this.
I'm so glad. Well, and I've never been to Prague before. So
Yeah,
I'm
love it.
very excited to be able to be seeing the
Yep.
city from the ground.
So where are you located?
I'm in Boston.
Okay, wonderful. So what's the weather?
It is muggy and hot and cloudy.
Okay.
So, it's like one of those days that it's just like you're just outside and it's like
Hmm.
But I'm not complaining. If there's no snow, I'm happy.
Yeah, we get plenty of that too here in Prague. I think the weather tend to be similar, but ours are less humid. It's more dry here in the summer.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Are you from Prague originally, or where are you from?
I've been here for 17 years, so almost yes, but I was born northeast in the Czech Republic, so close
Okay.
to Polish and Slovakian border. I
Cool.
always joke that it's like the West Virginia. So
That's awesome.
kind of explains why I'm here.
Yeah, right. In the cool city as it
Yep.
is.
Yeah.
One of my very good friends moved to Brno and lived there for many years.
Ooh, okay.
English, and she just moved back to the States now. She was probably there for 10 years.
Wow.
I never visited her because I'm a terrible friend. So of course you're going to go after you have all the local connections. So now I just have to rely on you.
Well, Brno is fun. It's 2 hours by car or train from here. And yeah, it's a cool university city. So lots of students there. And yeah, there's so much great food and wine and everything. So yeah, it's really cool. Let me actually drink from the water fountain here because it's hot.
Go for it. And we have a little bit of time. We'll get started in about 8 minutes. So
yeah, okay.
Feel free to get situated as well.
It's all good. So I'll just find a bench to sit before we get going. It's what is it, like 10 a.m. in Boston now?
Yes. Yep. It's almost 10 a.m. now.
Oh, good. So we have
What
4.
time is it there? 4?
4 before 4. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Perfect. How late does the sun stay out in the summertime?
Oh, till like 9:30.
Nice.
10-ish even. So yeah, these are like the long days of summer.
Yeah.
I love this time of the year.
Oh, I'm sure. And then the winter comes and you're like, oh, where is the sun?
Yeah, because December it's like 3:30, 4 p.m. right?
No, that's not too different from Boston. Boston's kind of the same. I don't know if you visited here before.
Yes, I did, because I took a semester in DC.
Nice.
Long time ago, 12 years ago.
Oh, that's awesome. I love DC. DC is a great city.
Yep. Yeah, and with the friends from there, yeah, we traveled all around northeast, and I got some relatives in Pennsylvania as well, so I spent Christmas with them. And for the fall, for the foliage, we drove up to Boston and Cape Cod, and we did the whole Massachusetts area.
Oh, you nailed it. That is like the perfect time to go to this area too.
It was beautiful, really amazing. Yeah.
What is that next to you? Is that a fountain?
It's a fountain, yes. It's like it's a pump, but it's not used anymore.
It's like the prettiest pump I've ever seen. Nobody uses it. Like
it's just like for decoration and a reminder that this was a source of water in the past. And because this is like the most popular virtual tour that we do, this is like our pump. Where we've always been sitting and meeting, because we started with these tours during the pandemic, when it was like the hardest lockdown, so everything was closed. There was like nothing open. So you couldn't sit anywhere, you couldn't get anything, and you could at least sit on these pumps here.
Right. Sit outside by the pump.
Yep.
Oh my God.
And there was the water fountain, so that's where we got water, and then we were just praying for some bathrooms to open. Yeah,
so funny because it's so true, and the reality.
And you tend to forget, like these things. So it just sometimes I'm like, how were we doing all this?
Totally. Exactly. How are your virtual tours going now? Are they still pretty busy, or have they?
Yep, they are. Yeah. So we're now hybrid. So we're doing both in person and virtual. We have a decent cooperation with Amazon Explore, and then corporate, I guess, is quite big on the virtual. So we tend to get some corporate companies interested in doing things for their employees.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's good. Like,
have you ever done what do you mean when you say you do hybrid? Like you do in person and you do virtual, or do you like send people stuff?
No, I meant that we do both. Like that.
Because that would be so neat. I'm like, send me a whole bunch of Czech beers, and then like I will like beer taste while you like actually go to the beer halls, you know?
I would love to do that as long as the US government changes the law because we
Oh
can't
God.
ship
They won't let
alcohol to the
you?
US. No,
You know,
it's
this country sucks. It's just getting worse and worse. I'm glad you got to see
I
it.
know.
You're doing okay.
Yeah, I am so sorry for what's happening in the US
Uh,
now. It just feels like ridiculous.
oh my God.
Like what happened to the cool country that I used to know and used to visit very often. So
We have so many people. It's actually funny because I have a good friend who just started a business that's like a relocation service, and we were literally talking like 3 weeks ago, and she was like, oh, I really want to help people to move abroad, and I don't know where to find my audience, etc. Now she's like so busy. She's like, I have
wow.
coaching clients, I have like 30 people that signed up for my workshops. Like everybody's just like, okay, our time is up, let's get out of here.
Really? Wow. That's
It's
crazy.
been really wild, like the number of people who are just like, here's my chance to live abroad because I'm just,
Done
you
with
know, it's
this.
hard. You know, it's like, as an American, it's hard because it's like, if all the good people leave, then what happens? You know, so it's like,
Mhm.
but anyway, we'll travel in the meantime.
I know, yeah, but it's similar. I have a very good friend in Russia, who's
Yeah.
based in Moscow, and the last time we talked, she said that all she does now is go to goodbye parties of her friends,
Oh,
and
that's so
that she now
sad.
has like a full house of plants that they're
Oh my
giving her,
God.
and she's just had a baby number 3, so she's not really ready to relocate.
Oh
So she just said that like 90% of her friends already relocated. They're saying they're done with Russia, they can't stay there anymore, they just want to live somewhere else. And
yeah,
I yeah so
hard
it's
to disagree with that. Yeah. Nice. How is everything over there tourism wise in the Czech Republic? Have you found that like people
it's
are
it
hesitant to go?
yeah.
Hmm.
So it's not bad, but it's far from being great either. I mean, you'll see today it's going to be busy because it's
Yeah,
Saturday and
Saturday,
afternoon,
usual
so it's like
day. Yeah, right.
it would be sad if not even Saturdays
Yeah, right,
were
right,
busy and
right.
crowded. So it won't look like that today. But in general, the war started right in March, right? And
Yep,
that's exactly where like 90% of people plan their holidays.
yep,
And obviously, when they were looking at map, why on earth would they book a flight to Prague, which is
right,
just a Slovakia away
right,
from Ukraine?
right, right.
So from what I have friends in Western Europe, everybody's there. Everybody's
Yeah,
England, Ireland,
yeah,
Spain,
yeah.
France, Italy. That's where the people flew. And here we get travelers, sure, but not what we were hoping
Right,
we would
right.
get.
Well, from here, I mean, we have conversations still with our audience of like people from the US, they're afraid to go to like Spain. You know, like
Oh,
because we don't know the
really?
geography of Europe, right? People don't know like how far, and they also are not as familiar with like the political ecosystem of, look,
Mhm.
there's Russia and then there's the EU. And there's like a very
Yeah,
clear line, like of not crossing the EU
yeah.
border. And so I think like people who understand that feel totally confident traveling, but then there's this whole audience of other people who just
Hmm.
get that and are
Don't.
like, I'm
Yeah,
just gonna
yeah.
stay local, I'm not gonna risk it. So I just hope it all gets better for everyone. In
Yeah,
the
please.
meantime, we have some good stuff from you, and I have a 20% discount from you all, right?
Yep, exactly.
Awesome. Oh, yay. Thank you for doing that.
Yep.
So I'm going to share that here. Actually, let me show you my slides and then we'll get started just that you can.
Okay. And do we have some people, or is it going to be just the
We
two of us?
do. You know
We
what?
do.
We've
Okay.
had people here since 5 minutes before the hour, which
Wow.
like maybe it doesn't sound like a big deal, but for us that's like astronomical because usually people like to come late to our events.
Oh,
So for
okay.
somebody to come early, that not only means that like they're here, but like they're really excited. So I'm really pleased about that. I mean, it's a small group so far, but we'll see what happens when
That's
we
fine. Yeah, no, it's
get
okay. And I don't mind even doing it for you, you know. I don't really care.
Do it for me, and then we'll just have fun, and I'll just
Yep.
watch you. Okay, so let me put on my screen really quick so you can see.
Mm-hmm. Now I'll just go and have one more sip of the water. And then, oh, I love your font.
Thanks. Now I just
Very
have to learn
cool.
how to present this a normal way. Okay, so I'm gonna do that. Okay, so you see my screen, okay?
Yeah, I can see it great. It works perfect.
So I'm just gonna do like a couple of announcements for Wonderful, and then I'm gonna introduce you here, and I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like a very basic introduction, which is like this is
Sure.
Paula from Prague City Adventures. It's a Czech-owned company with a clear mission to share our love of our city with the world, caring about the local community of Prague. And then I'm also going to share this discount code, which I don't know if Jordan told you, but we have a whole deals and discount section in our member community. So I'm
Uh-huh.
add this in there so that people have ongoing access to that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's
So,
great.
and then
Okay.
after that, it's just I have your social handles down
Awesome.
here, so we'll invite people to share that along the way. And then
Uh-huh.
started.
And that's it.
Yep,
Okay.
that's it.
And
So
you can also, I didn't mention it, but we're female owned as well because it's me and my partner. So
awesome. Okay, great. I love women-owned business, my dear.
yep.
I love it. Okay, great. Well, then we will do it. Yeah, and you and your partner started it together how long ago?
So we actually started both of us as guides, and then we eventually bought into the company, and we paid out the third partner, who was a guy who was hiring us in the first place. Now he's gone, and it's just the two of us.
You're like, get out of here. We got this from here. I love it. That's awesome.
We're
Oh,
still friends. It was a friendly stuff,
yeah, of
but
course. It
yeah.
was a friendly hostile takeover. I love that. No, that's so great. Well, and okay, I have so many things to tell you about later. Like
Okay, all right.
because I know this woman named Nikki Padilla Rivera who runs the
Yeah,
Global
that's a friend
Alliance.
of
Yeah,
mine.
okay,
Yep.
good, good, good. Yeah, so she's awesome and I love how she's like helping tour guides build businesses. So
Yeah,
anyway, all right.
she's amazing.
Let everybody in here because I know
Yes.
they're gonna be eager.
Yep.
So
And
let
it's
me
4:02, so let's
Yep.
get going.
Get them all started. Come on in, everybody. Welcome, welcome. We've got some fun going on today. So I want to get you all in here. And thank you for coming to our exciting trip. A lot of you have been waiting for a while to come into our conversation. So, Michaela, I'm just going to mute you for a little bit while I do some of this so that awesome because I know you've got the exciting city of Prague in the background. So everyone else, thanks for being here. If you haven't met me before, my name is Beth. I'm the founder and CEO of Wonderful. We are doing a virtual tour of Prague's Old Town today. I'm really excited to show it all to you. We have Michaela who is going to be taking us around and I'm going to introduce her in a little bit. But first of all, I want to introduce those of you who aren't familiar with Wonderful to our work. So if you haven't heard of Wonderful before, we're an international community and lifestyle brand for women travelers and travel content creators. We're on a mission to make travel better for women worldwide. I see a lot of our members here in the audience, which is great. Welcome, everyone. What I would love for you to do is drop in the chat and say hi back. I know since we're doing more of a presentation today, you're not going to have too much time to talk out loud. Like sometimes I ask you to kind of like tell your whole story on audio. I'm not going to make you do that. But drop in. Paula, you're already on top of it. Who you are, where you're checking in from around the world. Paula's here in DC. And we're already getting some questions about Prague, which is great. Damaris is in Maryland. Melissa is in Illinois. Welcome, everybody. And Patty is in New Jersey. Romy's in Arlington, Mass. Kim is in Western North Carolina. Great. Well, we're gonna have a lot of fun today. Keep on dropping in. And by the way, I'm sure you've seen me do this before if you do know me. And because this is a tour, I would love to have you all be part of this. I want this to be an immersive travel experience for you all. So this isn't just Michaela walking around and giving a presentation. Ask questions. If you see something that you are interested in, ask us what that thing is. If we want to just completely disrupt Michaela's plans and make her go into little businesses or explore alleyways, we can totally tell her to do that. And I know she will humor us and go along with it. So let's have a little bit of fun. And what I would recommend is if you do have a question, because there are a lot of us, go ahead and drop it in the chat. Because once I do unmute Michaela, it might be a little bit hard to hear people because she does have people in the back. You'll be able to hear her fine, but questions, drop them in the chat. We'll be able to answer them that way, and I will help facilitate that. I'll ask them out loud, but it's going to be a great time. So let me give you a couple of quick, wonderful announcements before we get started. If you are familiar with our member community, we have this whole international network of women travelers who want to help each other travel. We have an online portal, we have chapters in cities all around the world, and we have some really neat opportunities. There's an Antarctica trip that we have planned coming up in January. So I wanted to let you all know that this is like last chance for that. We are confirming that list. We have almost 40 women signed up, which is amazing. And if you've ever wanted to visit Antarctica, this is going to be a once in a lifetime opportunity to do it with 40 of your new best friends. I also want to let you know about a really neat kind of pseudo trip that we're doing with an organization called Brave New, which is a woman-owned and minority-owned business based in Atlanta. And they really focus on giving you a real, honest, authentic look at a place. And they're starting in Atlanta. They want to do this in other cities around the world, but they put together this whole week for us called an Art and Social Change Week, where we're learning about Atlanta's history in civil rights. We're going to a splatter paint studio. We're going to eat at some really cool woman-owned and minority-owned businesses. And if you're in our creator program, you might also see that we have some free spots available to content creators. And so there was an email that just went out about that. I will drop a link as well in the chat when I have a chance to do that in case you missed the email. If you're a member, it's also in the member portal. You can learn how to sign up. And if you're not a content creator, we have a discount for you to just come and attend and learn and be a learner. It's kind of, Rachel, the founder, looks at it as a study abroad opportunity, even though it's a week long. So it's a really neat way to not just travel, but really get to know a place. And then a couple other things here, like if you wanted to come and be a volunteer, we're actively looking for wonderful volunteers. And of course, I cannot forget our local meetup directory where you can find women all around the world that you might want to meet up with and connect with each other. So those are some of our things. And a couple other events that I wanted to point out for you that are happening in our wonderful community. I know I say the word women a lot, but we are gender inclusive. Anyone can be part of Wonderful and anyone can benefit from what we offer here. And some of the events that are coming up that have been really popular are this one on July 11th called Workaway, World Packers and Woof, How to Use Work Exchanges to Travel for Free. On July 25th, we're talking about crushing your fears and creating the life that you want. And on July 26th, a really important conversation about appropriation versus appreciation, how to be fashionably responsible. And it's actually being taught by a Hawaiian fashion designer named Kanoe Lani. And she's really, really amazing. She's actually about to go and show some of her work in London. And she was kind enough to do a webinar for us. So really cool upcoming events that you'll see in our community, both some members only, some available to the public. And now this one is, actually one last thing I want to tell you, which is as part of being part of Wonderful, one thing that we do that we don't talk about enough, and we've been trying to say more and more, is that every month your member dues actually benefit an organization that's doing great things in travel and great things for women and girls around the world. This month, we're donating a portion of all of our Wonderful member dues to an organization called Rise Travel Institute, which focuses on social impact. It focuses on education on how to be a better traveler. And it's a really cool nonprofit organization. So I would definitely encourage you to check it out. You'll be learning more about them throughout the month. We absolutely love them and we're really grateful to be able to use our member dues to support businesses and to support organizations that are doing really great things out there around the world. And of course, speaking of organizations doing great things around the world, just a huge thank you to all of our brand partners. These are companies that have invested in what Wonderful is doing and are helping support our work so that we can put on really awesome programming for people, including this one that we're doing today, which I am like so dying to get started. So I'm going to like dump into this and let me tell you about what we're going to do today and who we're doing it with. So we've got Michaela here from Prague City Adventures. Prague City Adventures is a Czech owned company with a mission to share the love of their city with the world while caring about the local community of Prague. Who's been to Prague before, by the way? Drop in the chat and let me know. Romy just raised her hand, so she's been there before. I want to see who else has been and for who else this is the first time. I've never been to Prague. I've never been to the Czech Republic, so I'm really excited to be exploring. It's about 4 in the afternoon over there on Saturday, so it's a busy day in the old city. And go ahead and put in the chat and let us know if you've been there and if you're an expert as well. And by the way, if Prague is on your list, Michaela also wanted to share a discount that she has for our wonderful community. So you can use the code, and we'll drop this in the member deals and discount section as well. You can use the code WONDERFUL20. You'll get 20% off all of their tours, whether it's a live tour on your next trip, whether it's a virtual tour. I know they do a lot of corporate retreats. They do a lot of bonding experiences for families, for girlfriends. If you want to organize something like that, you get 20% off just for being part of Wonderful, and you can use that all the way until December 31st, 2023. So, okay, enough of Beth gabbing. Michaela, I'm going to unmute you. I'm going to turn off the screen share because I want to make sure all of us can see the magic that's going on over where you are. So let me put a little spotlight on you, and I'm going to... You unmuted perfectly. How's it going?
It's great. Hey, everybody. We're ahoy, as we say in Czech, right? Ahoy. You guys know the words. For us, that's hello.
I love it.
So my name is Michaela or Misha. That's the shorter version. You can call me whichever you like. And I welcome you to Prague. I am right now in the very heart of the city, and I've prepared a walk for the next about 15 minutes or so. We'll cover the Old Town Square, which is the most popular, I would say, part of Prague. Really beautiful area with the famous astronomical clock, Tyne Church, the Nicholas Church, and just gorgeous architecture all around. And then we'll walk through a little side street to a famous theater where, a composer or two may have had the honor of conducting their opening premieres of some opera. So we'll talk about that. And then we'll finish on the Square of the Republic, or in Czech, Náměstí Republiky, where there is a fantastic municipal house of Art Nouveau, and I'll explain all about that, and some Gothic architecture there as well. And I have some cool stories on the go. But as Beth was saying, and thank you so much for the kind introduction, I'm quite happy to, dump all that. And if you guys are interested in somewhere and you want me to turn right or left, just let me know. Okay, I'm here for you. And this is not going to be my monologue. I'm warning you right ahead. Please ask me questions. Okay, whatever you're interested. I have some plan, but I'm flexible, movable, right? And I'm quite excited to show you the city that I've been calling home for the past 17 years. I wasn't born in Prague. I came from northeast of the Czech Republic, and I usually joke that that's like the West Virginia of my country. So lots of gorgeous mountains, beautiful nature, but coal mines and not that much I'd say work for a person like me who loves to work in travel industry and use languages and just meet travelers from all around the world. Yeah. So I've been a tour guide since 2014, and with my partner Teresa, we've been running Prague City Adventures since 2017. We have a great team of fantastic guides. We do both virtual and in person, as Beth was saying. So whenever you're in here, just drop a note to me. I'll be happy to take you for a beer or wine, because we have both, and they're both excellent. All right. So without further ado, let me flip the camera, right? Because I think you've seen enough of my face.
We love looking at your face.
But I think you came to see this gorgeous city that I call home now. And we start in this cute courtyard, which is quite busy today because there's some beautiful beer gardens and cafes and ice cream places. And it's called Ungeld. You can see it written in here, Ungeld, because this is the place where medieval merchants would come to Prague through this passage, right? Imagine there was a soldier and the other one here guarding the entrance, letting the merchants come in, and then they had an obligation to stay in this courtyard for 3 days and 3 nights. Now, why would they do that? Because by paying the accommodation and for their foods and drinks, the city was getting money. So it was like a fee that they would pay. And only after 3 days, they were allowed to leave through this other passage, again, heavily guarded. And then, they would enter into the old town square and could do business and make their money back. And of course, from all the money from the merchants, as Prague was popular, this gorgeous palace was built by the tax guy. How lucky were we, right? Now there is a Irish pub here and also a glass store shop and a paper store. And I do want to just peek in here because I think it's really, really amazing. And they have some cool things like this gorgeous hedgehog. I mean, my son, he's 3.5, and he loves this hedgehog with the colored pencils. They, of course, have small versions here too. And they've got some other animals, but the hedgehog is the most popular one. What do you think of that? So this would be like my recommendation if you ever make it to Prague, and I hope you do, to get a very cool local souvenir, because this is all manufactured by Kohinor, a Czech company that has been making pencils since 1790. Right? Let me actually just go a little closer so you can see the logo. And here it's also the year, right? So Kohinor, since 1790, they've been making pencils and some other like paper related materials. It's all Czech, so you would be supporting a local company. And it's just gorgeous, this little store here. And I also want to show you another character that's very connected with my childhood, and that's this animal. And I'm curious, can you tell me what animal this is? Write it in the chat. Which animal do you think this little guy is? Let me show you it, just a different version. So let me see. We get some guess.
Guessed yet?
Come on, no guess yet. So
I
what?
I know, but I don't remember. Oh, penguin, badger. I'm thinking. Man, I don't know what it is.
What are you thinking, Beth?
I was like a mole.
Yay, there you go. But penguin is what we usually get, but we don't get penguins here in the Czech Republic, but we have a lot of moles. So a little mole is like the most popular Czech cartoon that really Czech kids grow up in. And I highly, highly recommend that you Google little mole on YouTube, because there are lots of videos. The most popular one is where he is making these beautiful blue trousers, and he doesn't really speak much there. So even if your kids, don't speak Czech, which I'm presuming majority of American children don't speak Czech, he just says, ahoy, yeah, yeah. Oh, so it's very, very cute. And it's adorable. It's just like the most adorable character that's associated with us. So I just wanted to show you that. And let me flip the camera one more time, because there is a store that I wanted to show you that might be more interesting for all you ladies there, because that is the Bohemian Crystal store, right? So they have absolutely amazing products. Those are like door handles here. And if I showed you here, they would have some glasses and plates, jewelry, and Bohemian glass and crystal. It's world famous, right? That's another thing that when people come to our country, that's what they want to buy and take home with them. And most of the glassmaking is usually happening in the borders where our mountains are located, right? And by the way, you might notice that there are no price tags. No price tags in here. So obviously it's not going to be a cheap deal when you get the Bohemian crystal, but it's definitely worth it. All right. So let me just show you the courtyard. I'm
Thank
happy, Romy, that you think the crystal is beautiful. Someone has a question.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, have you found that there's like knockoffs of that crystal? And, how do you know, like, are there certain places that you should only go or like a certain seal that you should be looking for?
Yes, there is a special stamp which has Bohemian Crystal Certificate, and it's like a tiny little stamp attached to it. And besides that, they are obliged to give you like a little booklet where it's written the origin of the crystal, where it came from, and that's like a certificate of quality. So only with this is how you buy it. And obviously, I would not go shopping like right in the heart of the old town. But if you just make your way a little bit further, maybe to some shopping malls and go like to more hidden stores, then you would be definitely finding a little better deal than right here in the old town.
Got it. Patty wants to know, do you happen to know what the current exchange rate is with the US dollar?
Yes, it's about 23 crowns. So everything you see, divide by 23, right? So beer
Bring
usually is
your
like
calculators, everybody.
just you can round it up to
Divided by
20 for an
23.
idea, right? But if you have a calculator, that's going to be like the more precise thing. So beer is about 64 crowns or 60 crowns. So it's about $2, $2.20 would be the cost of beer here, right? If
Oh,
it's
that's
not a microbrewery beer. So, and that's for us is expensive.
really?
Yes, beer used to be much cheaper. It would be like maximum $2, not higher. And yes, for microbreweries it would be like 250. But now you can get microbrewery for like $3 or 350, and that's so expensive.
How do you think
So
people feel when they go to like the US or the UK and they spend like $10 on a beer? Do they feel
yeah, we're usually very frustrated with that. That's like one of the things. Like I can't drink that much beer when I'm in the States because it would ruin me, right? So not here. Here, yeah, compared to the prices are still quite favorable, obviously. When you arrive. All right, let me flip the camera because I am walking this gorgeous little passage from Ungelt, from the Tyne courtyard, and I am making my way into the old town square. And by the way, I didn't see in the chat, has anyone been to Prague really? Or is everyone here with me for the first time virtually?
I think Romy has been here.
Okay, Romy has. All right. Anyone else?
No, I don't think so.
No, that's probably it. So let me welcome you to Prague properly with some music as well. This is the Czech national anthem, which I think is quite appropriate when you arrive in this most beautiful square. So welcome to the Old Town Square of Prague. What
Wow.
do you guys think?
Kim says, I've never been yet, have heard how beautiful it is, and I can see why. And Patty says we need to plan a wonderful trip.
I'm here.
Deborah says stunning. Oh, it is. It is so beautiful. I love this.
This is really where everything is happening in Prague. So whenever there is like a celebration of something, if we win some sport competition, or when we won, for example, the Olympic Games in ice hockey in 1998, this was where the major celebration was happening. When we were runner-ups in World Cup in soccer, this is again where people would gather and celebrate. Some demonstrations as well, but for demonstrations we have a different square. So this is really the most gorgeous place, and this is where all the merchants were coming, right? When they were doing business, this is where they would have their stands and do the trade, and it still happens for the Easter and Christmas markets. So I know it's a little hard to imagine when we're in the heat of July, but come December and you add some snow here, Christmas tree right here next to the statue, and the beautifully decorated Christmas markets, then you arrive, in the fairy tale town. So if you're planning to visit, then I highly, highly recommend December. Is absolutely gorgeous. And this square has been around since the very start of Prague, which is in about 800s. Okay, and it is very deeply associated with one particular guy here on the horse. So let me go a little closer to this gorgeous palace. And if you look closer up, you will see there's a guy riding a horse with a banner. And then it says Svatý Václav, which in English would be Saint Wenceslas. And you might not have heard of Duke Wenceslas, that ruled Bohemia, but I'm fairly certain, and now excuse my singing, but good King Wenceslas looked out on the feast of Stephen, when the snow lay round about, round and crisp and even. I hope that rings a bell. This Christmas carol, right, about good King Wenceslas? Well, that's this guy. So you might not have known about that, but the Christmas carol is actually Czech, because a daughter of one of our kings in the 14th century, she married to the UK, and she brought the story of good King Wenceslas with her to London, and that's where they started to sing this Christmas carol, right? So good King Wenceslas is Czech. He's the founder of our country, the patron saint, and the time is 800s and early 900s, and that's what we call like the Game of Thrones era. Why? Well, I'm sure we have some fans here of Game of Thrones. Anyone watched it? I'm sure you guys are familiar, right? Beth, did you watch Game of Thrones?
Nope, I'm afraid of it.
Oh, well, for good reason. For good reason.
I'm afraid
Because,
of it. But I've
you
heard
know,
Paula said she loves it though, so you've got a fan.
okay, great. So, Paula, we had the families here fighting. So, Wenceslas came from a family, and his mother was evil. So, think Cersei, right? Those of you that are familiar, his mother was really bad. She hated her mother-in-law, the grandma of Wenceslas, and she hated her so much that she had her murdered. How? She sent two guys who strangled her with her white scarf. Now, then she was happy because she could rule the country, but her son Wenceslas was very unhappy. He loved grandma, and he started to hate his mother, who had her murdered. Well, unfortunately, Wenceslas was not the only son. He had a brother, and this brother hated grandma and loved their mother. So obviously, and I hope you're still following, when the boys grew up, Wenceslas became the king. He banished his mother from the country. And by the way, there's a story that the devil himself came to drag her out. And his brother became really jealous for all this, this stuff between them, that he invited Wenceslas to celebrate the birth of his baby. And when Wenceslas was entering the church for the baptism, he had him murdered there as well. So if you're lost about who murdered whom, it's crazy. But the important thing is Wenceslas was killed, his grandmother was killed, and the evil brother became the founder of the future generations. He turned out not to be too bad of a king because it sort of turned out to be a rule that the rulers were killing each other when they wanted to grab reign in the country, and it was quite messy until 1306, because that's when the last king of this dynasty was murdered too. And imagine that we still do not know who killed that king, right? And you know, I'm not an evil person, but if I was, and was planning to take over the rule in one country, I would certainly have a very evil plan about what I do next after I kill the king, right? Well, this person did not have any plan. We do not know what happened. No one claimed it, and there had to be a marriage of the last living princess, the sister of this murdered king, who married into a different dynasty, and a different king was agreed to take over, but he was not the one who murdered the original one. So very messy. Czech history gets crazy at days. But what's important out of this marriage came Charles the Fourth, and I'm going to flip the camera again. You'll always see my big fat finger when I do that, because that's how Zoom works. Okay, hopefully now, there we go. Yes.
Wow.
And Charles the Fourth is the greatest king we've ever had, and this is the house where he was born. So 14th century, this is the house by the stone bell. You might see the bell here on the corner. Can everybody see that? Yeah, the
Yeah.
bell. So this is where our king was born. And by the way, if you see this gorgeous church here, that's the Tyne Church. Does it remind you of any building that you might have seen in the US somewhere? You can write it in the chat. Oops, pardon. Sorry, I bumped into a person taking photos here. So, any ideas? Or Beth, maybe it reminds you of some building that you've seen in the US.
I'm thinking,
Marion,
I
yeah?
don't know. I'm like, am I going to have the wrong answer? I'm thinking like Cinderella's castle.
There you go. Yes. this is actually the model for the Cinderella castle. This and Neuschwanstein in Germany.
That's amazing.
So, yep, you have to come to Prague, to the old town, to see this church for yourselves. It's absolutely gorgeous, Gothic, again, 14th century, and it was built in the reign or during the reign of Charles the Fourth, right? And when I say he was the greatest king in our history, I really, really mean it. There were no wars when he reigned in Europe, right? He was not just a Czech king, he was a Holy Roman Emperor, which practically meant the most important guy in the world at that time, right? Because America was not rediscovered yet. No one really knew what was happening in Asia, Australia. Who knew of that? So, in our very Europe central view, in 14th century, Prague was the capital of everything. And Charles the Fourth, he doubled our population. I mean, Prague was bigger than London, than Paris, than Florence. Everything that was happening in Europe was happening in Prague in the 14th century. It was huge. He founded a university. He also founded Newtown. So Prague's old town is from the 13th century, and our new town is from the 14th century.
So
We do have downtown, right? Did you want to say something, Beth? I'm sorry, I interrupted.
no, I was just laughing and saying, wow, 14th century is so new.
Very, very new. So yeah, Charles is really like everywhere. He built the Charles Bridge, Charles Castle. It's thanks to him that we have the crown jewels as well. So it's really, really a character that you've got to remember when you visit Prague. Yeah. And by the way, Charles University is where I studied. So I did English and Italian here, and the building is not too far from here, actually, because interestingly enough, we do not have campuses right? Our university buildings are scattered around the city, and my buildings were one here, which is about a 10-minute walk behind this church, and then another building was midway through this street, which was like a decent 15-minute run. And the third building, where lots of the education was happening, was even further 10-minute walk, right? So between the furthest ends, it was good 20 minutes how to get from one to another, while the breaks are usually 10. So especially when there were Christmas markets, it took us like a half an hour, right? And our teachers were usually quite understanding, because whenever I arrived in the hall, I was like, hello, hello. They were like, the main building. Yes.
Uh,
So it was okay.
I want to stop you for a second because Romy and I are both
Sure.
dying to know what that is behind you, like a tram or like a little trolley or something.
Oh, let me switch the camera. It's a very touristy train
Ah,
that is just here for travelers. So it's nothing local. Let me just show you. It's what kids love, right? And it takes you all the way up to Prague Castle as well. I don't even know, to be honest, how much it costs, because I've never taken it myself. And it was gone for 2 years during the pandemic.
yeah. Okay.
And now it's back, which I guess is a good sign, right? You can see that it starts here, and then it just goes around the old town and the Jewish area, because the Jewish
So,
quarter is this way, and then up the hill, which is very convenient to Prague Castle.
is it on rails or is it like driving on the street?
No, it's regular. It's like it's on wheels.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
It's on
Cool.
wheels. Yep. And then this building here, well, sorry, not building, but this person here is who has a monument. I think he might remind you a little bit of Abraham Lincoln. Tall beard, right? I mean, it might be a little stretch, but I don't think too much. That's John Haas, or Jan Hus as well, who's a preacher in the 15th century. And he was sort of a one thing that Charles IV did not do right, was he did not educate his son properly, and he really spoiled his son rotten. And unfortunately, then when the son became king, he got into conflict with Jan Hus here, who was criticizing the Catholic Church for, not being poor enough, not being modest enough, taking money from the rich, having relationships with concubines, and all that, yada yada. Obviously, the Catholic Church does not like to be criticized, right? Not in the 15th century, not now. And poor Jan Hus, due to all this not good relationships with the king and the church, ended up at a stake, and they burned him. So that's why he has such a huge statue that you can see behind me. And that's usually, a thing, because when you live a long, happy life, they don't really end up building a statue for you. So that's a choice you have, right? All right, let me flip the camera. And I know I've been talking a lot about history and lots of names, so feel free, for God's sake, to forget all the names, right? It's not important. I'm here just to tell the names for stories. And I think it's time I showed you one of the most important sites that Prague has, and that is the astronomical tower with the famous clock. So are you guys ready to see the number one thing in Prague?
We're ready.
I hope so. So let me just take a few more steps, and then I'm going to turn. So get ready if you're taking some print screen. This might be your opportunity. So 3, 2, 1. Here we go.
Wow.
Uh, this is the astronomical clock. This is what everybody comes to Prague to see. And admire, because this clock was built in 1410, right? So
Wow.
more than 80 years before Columbus sailed the ocean blue, we already had an incredible clock here on the side of the tower. And what's the most important thing is not that these two blue windows open and apostles come on the hour every hour. That's fine. That's what people come to see here. But what they should more admire is this clock here, the larger one with the smaller, excuse me, because that is, mind blowing. The guy who built it, Master Hanush, in 1410, had it all right with the movements of the sun that you can see here and the moon, the black ball. In the center, it's planet Earth, and these are different constellations on the small one of the zodiac signs. It rotates around the big circle, then the circle turns as well. There is a hand that you might see here that shows the actual time. And whenever there is an eclipse, the sun and the moon align. So people from around the world come to actually see how it's working, right? It's crazy. And my question is, there's one thing, and I'm sorry, that is wrong with the planets and the sun and the moon. Can you spot what it is? What is wrong?
I have
And I know it's a tricky question.
Does anyone else have a guess? Put it in the chat if you do.
I'll
Yeah.
give you a little bit. So let me show you the Earth is here. Here's the sun. Here's the moon. And then the stars are on the smaller circle. Anything wrong with that about which goes, or how things go around each other? No? Well, let me tell you. Yeah,
Yeah.
Gav, you have an idea?
I was just gonna say, I don't know exactly, but I was just gonna say, like, is it like the sun going around the earth in this?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
That's-
And Deborah got it too. It's Earth centric. Yes. It's before we've discovered, that it's actually heliocentric and that the sun is in the center and everything else goes around it, right? But if you flip that, it is correct. And that's really just crazy when you think that it's from the beginning of the 15th century, right? And
wow.
just go little back, and then what's below it, this circle here, is the calendar. So the large circles are the 12th month, and again, it circulates, right? It goes like this. There's a little golden arrow on the top, so it always shows you the correct month. And then the smaller ones that I'm not sure you can see correctly is the are again the zodiac signs, right? And I saw a question: who takes care of the city? It is still part of the city hall, but it is of course the old city hall. All of these buildings, the 5 buildings here, are that are attached to one another, is the old city hall, established in 1333, right? So even like almost 100 years before they built the clock, we already had a city hall here that was ruling the old town. And they built the clock because obviously they wanted to add on a little bit of, I guess, an incentive for travelers to come. And obviously they hired the best uh, clockmaker they could, which is the guy that was called Master Hanush. And when they built it, it was like a miracle, right? And everybody who was anybody wanted to come to Prague to see the clock and experience how it's working and how it was ingenious. And the city hall people were getting a little bit nervous because all these visitors wanted to also meet with Master Hanush, and they were talking to him about all sorts of things. And the councillors and the mayor were thinking, well, what if they're offering to the clockmaster that he can build another clock somewhere else in a different city, in a different country? And then, all the tourism that Prague was experiencing would go to hell because, people would travel to this new place where Master Hanush would build it. They had no, proofs that these talks were happening, but they already had it in their heads and they were not seeing things straight. So one crispy February evening, they held a secret meeting together, and they agreed that Mr. Hanush needs to be dealt with. And so they sent two armed guys to the house of the clockmaster. Now they arrived there, it was middle of the night, and they were knocking on the doors and asking Master Hanush to open. He was doing some paperwork, not really understanding what was happening, but he did open, and then just saw these guards grab him and carry him down into the main room by the fireplace. And there, what they did was they drew their sword, put the sword in the fire, and then they thrust it into the clock master eyes.
Oh.
They blinded him on spot. He collapsed, of course, became unconscious. They left thinking the deed was done. But the following morning, the pupil of the clockmaster found him. He woke him up and was saying, Master, let's get you to a doctor. But Master Hanush said, no, take me to my clock. So he helped him to get in there. Now the word is spreading, and the counselors knew that the clockmaster is alive. And even though he's blind, he's making his way to the clock. Now, what does he want to do there? But before they managed to fetch someone to get in there, Master Clock managed to climb the stairs. He was already up by the apostles and the whole system, the cogged wheels. And he reached out because he knew the clock so well, just blindly between the cogged wheels, and he took one of them down. And as he did, the clock stopped working. But so did the heart of the clockmaster. He died on spot, but the clock did not work for the next 200 years.
Wow.
So, and then there's the story of the new clockmaster, the young one who made his way to the city, and that's why it works now. But that's for a different time. So, beware if you're greedy and jealous, because it might be just completely unnecessary, and it leads to terrible things. And I'm just going to wait because there is a mixing truck here. Oh, and he's stopping right in front of me. Okay. All right, let me just walk in front of it, and I'm gonna flip the camera again. And I saw a question about transportation, right, Beth? Was it right?
Yes. What kind of transportation is available?
So the easiest from the US or UK that I saw that you folks were located is plane, of course. So Prague Airport, I'll show you the mixing truck, which is chasing me.
What about inside the city, Misha? How do people get around? Is there a metro?
Yes, there's metro, there are trams, there are buses, but it's very, very walkable. I highly, highly recommend, just to walk, especially in the old town. It's very easy, very compact, and as you walk, you really can just get lost in here, and discover all sorts of beautiful areas and small alleys that you wouldn't discover normally. So walking is my recommendation. We also have a shared bike system. They're called Recola, because Colo is a bike. So Recolo, they're pink bikes. They're almost everywhere. If I see one here in the city as I'm walking, I'll stop and show it to you. And you just download the app, and it costs like $2 per month. Yes, to have a subscription, and then you pay like very, very small amount, like $1 if you ride more than 45 minutes or something. So it's really like, who rides 45 minutes? I mean, you would get from one end of Prague to another.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that would be definitely my recommendation, for the bikes. And let me flip the camera because there is a special building that I want to show you right here. And I hope you're seeing this gorgeous beauty. And you see, of course, there's lots of Ukrainian flags in Prague, as well, because even though we don't neighbor with Ukraine, there's still Slovakia in between us and them. But It is a shared historical experience, I
Mhm.
guess, that we have by being invaded by the Soviets in 1968, and even before that by the Nazis, right, in 1939 and 38 as well. So we did not really stand our ground in those years, which is something that we're not proud of. And it's a sort of difficult topic in many history books and in classes where kids discuss it, what they would have done. And it's great. And I'm really proud to see that our government at the moment is really standing up for us, and they're sending whatever they can to Ukraine to help them and to support them. And it's not just the government. I mean, everybody that I know is volunteering and helping the Ukrainian refugees, because we have over 350,000 of them in the Czech Republic, and we have only 10 million inhabitants, right? So it's a huge amount, and most of them are in Prague here, obviously. So you will see lots of Ukraine, and maybe you've spotted them already, Ukrainian flags as we walk as a sign of our support. And that was just a little bit on the current events, but I do want to play you a little music and ask you if you can guess which composer composed this piece. Well, if my phone plays, hopefully, and who had this famous opera played here in this building. And it was this ground opening that was, yes, here we go. Anyone can guess the name of the composer? I'll give you a hint that he's from Austria. He was born in Salzburg, and the emperor at that time was complaining that his pieces of music have too many notes, too many notes. Do we have some guesses?
Patty's guessing Mozart.
And she's guessing right.
Woo!
Yes, yes, it's Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart had the premiere here in 1791 of Don Giovanni, right? So, anyone seen the movie Amadeus by Milos Forman? Do we have any movie fans here? Yes. Portia, I can see. Yeah, so Amadeus, it won so many Oscars in the 80s when it had the premiere. It was shot in here, in this theater. And believe it or not, it's they really had to bring part of the crew from Hollywood. And Milos Forman, the director, he sadly passed away a few years ago. He was a Czechoslovak who emigrated to the US after the Soviets invaded in 1968. And then he came back to shoot what became, his most famous movie. And he hired some other Czechs and Czechoslovak actors here, and he used some of them for the film crew. So it was quite special, and obviously the secret communist police was monitoring them and what was happening in there, and it was a huge deal. So if you've never visited Prague, or if you visited and you want to rewatch it again, then I highly recommend checking out Amadeus. As it has some great shots from the streets of Prague, even though majority of it takes place in Vienna, but they shot everything in here. And I'll show you also the back part of this theater. It's called the Theater of the Estates. And this huge van that's here is where they bring all the stuff for the performances, because behind these doors, you are in the backstage. And the stage is right like 2 meters far, right? So very, very close, so that you always can spot it. And anyone cares to, well, I'm going to just say, Beth, can you practice your Czech and read it?
Narodní divadlo.
Excellent. I really love your accent. Great job. So, Narodní. No, it was really good. Narodní means national, and divadlo, theater.
Narodni Divadlo.
Divadlo, because the theater, it's called the Theater of the Estates, but it's part of the four buildings that belong to the National Theater in the Czech Republic. And we're huge theater fans, us Czechs. I mean, there are over 200 theaters just in Prague itself. We're crazy for it. They do both opera, regular plays, ballet. Some concerts take place here, and in all the other theaters. And you know, they're just huge. People, it's sold out months in advance. Sometimes you can get some last minute things. Oh, by the way, check this out. This is a cool refresher. Let me go and refresh
Oh,
myself
it's
as
a
well. I'll
picture. I
show
love
you, right? Oh, I don't know if you guys can see it. Just a little bit. Woo! I'm now nice and wet. That was
How
great.
hot is it over there right now? Is it really
It,
hot?
no, it's not that bad. I mean, it's in high 90s, but we're not in hundreds yet. So
High 90s is not bad?
no, it's dry. It's dry. It's not humid. So I don't have sweat all over me. So as long as that, and there is a cold beer available, which is like everywhere in Prague, right? We're the capital of beer. So it's okay.
How about, would you recommend, you said theater is so big. Would you recommend
Hmm.
that people add that to their list when they visit Prague? Like, you have to go.
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, if you like theater, then definitely that would be like one of the most local experiences that you can get. And it doesn't matter which theater you choose. I would recommend going for the big ones, like the Theater of the Estates behind me or the other National Theater buildings, because they have subtitles in English above the stage.
Nice. That's awesome.
Which is pretty cool. And one thing that's very important to know, you have to dress up.
Oh,
Okay,
they do
no
take.
jeans, no shorts, no like just very little t-shirts. No, 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 no. I'm not saying gown like for the Metropolitan Opera Gala or something, but you want a nice dress. Definitely a shirt and trousers for your husbands or partners if they come with you, because they won't let you in, especially in these like big theaters. It's part of our culture. We really, it's important, and you want to dress up because you would really feel very odd, and most of them they really just don't let you in.
Romy says, I
So
went to an opera and loved it. Do they still have drinks in the afternoon around 4? So civilized.
oh, we have drinks whenever. I mean, in Prague in the center, you can have a beer at 9, and no one's gonna blink at you, right? I mean, beer for lunch, that's like common. Like why not, right? Why would you not have beer with your lunch? That would be the question. I mean, honestly, if you're in Prague or in the Czech Republic in general, and you're not for some weird reason drinking alcohol, just be ready that they'll be asking, oh, so you're pregnant, or are your antibiotics, I'm sorry. Those are like two valid reasons, and everything else is just no, you have no reason not to drink. Let me flip the camera because I wanted to show you one amazing building. This is my favorite building in here. And my question is, which architectural style this is? Do we have some architecture fans here?
Oh man. Mm.
Let me know. And I'm gonna give you a hint. Check out the sign here. Right? What does it say?
Beast
It says Cubista, yes. So what style do you think this is?
cubist.
Yay! Great deduction.
I
Great
didn't know
deduction
there was
skills.
a cubism architecture.
Yeah, I saw Patty had it. It's Cubism. And believe it or not, we're one of two, because there's some buildings in Germany, but they were built by Czech architects. But we're the only country in the world that developed Cubism from painting and sculpture
Mm.
into architecture.
That's super cool.
So this is from 1915, actually, this building. And there's an amazing cafe here. It's Grand Cafe Orient. They have just the most delicious coffee and desserts, and everything in there is Cubist. right? I mean, what's cubist? It's like no straight line. So even when you go to the bathroom to dry your hand, the hand dryer is zigzagged. I mean, their chairs are cubist. The chandeliers, you can see the windows are not straight, right? They're like going up here and then again, the balcony. And it's this cafe where you want to go, not this here. This is a very touristy restaurant, which is just bad. Don't even bother. Go up there to the Grand Cafe Orient, which is very cool. You will feel like you're entering the 1910s and 1920s. It's amazing. I mean, whenever they're shooting some movie, like historical movie from the 20s or early 30s, you bet it's always in that building. So my highly recommend it.
Oh, well,
Okay. Yes.
I know we're just hitting our hour now, so this has been such an amazing trip. I can't believe that you've gotten so much in. And
Well, give me just 2 more minutes because I want to finish and show you the building. But if there are any questions while I'm walking,
we're approaching, yeah, no, definitely. And I know Rome, I wish you could continue. There's so much more to see and everything. A great tour. I mean, this has been such a great way to even get a taste of what to expect and what to know going in. Kim says this has been wonderful. Everywhere you've been walking around has not appeared crowded. Is this typical for a Saturday? It's actually really appealing. I prefer less crowded places.
well, I was sort of trying to raise the camera to not show you all the crowds because it can feel a little overwhelming. But this is busy for us now, these post-COVID days. This is really like a busy Saturday here. But at the same time, everyone that you see, those are just tourists. There are literally almost, there's no one from the locals in here, but not just in here in the old town, like in Prague in general. Because if you guys know, Ferragosto in Italy, which is when they shut down everything for the last 2 weeks, we shut down almost everything the first 2 weeks in July. And everybody's taking holidays because we have two holidays days in well, next week, Tuesday and Wednesday. And that's just like when everybody takes holidays and they leave Prague. So
Tourists
this
here.
is it. And I'm right here. This is the Czech National Bank, which, by the way, if you've seen the XXX with Vin Diesel, that's where the shooter is up there behind the statue, taking an aim at Vin Diesel, who sits in a cafe right in front of it. And he protects himself by throwing himself in front of a table, right, or behind a table. And he takes down the shooter. He takes 2 steps, and whoa, he's at Prague Castle. Well, Prague Castle is like a good 45-minute walk from here. But hey, again, we're not Vin Diesel, right? And this is it. This is where I wanted to finish with this gorgeous municipal house, right? This is really an amazing building for concerts and restaurants. And there's a fantastic bar. And this bar, it's called the Treaders. It's like an American type cocktail bar. They have amazing cocktails. And why I'm saying that? Because it was established in 1912. And it was the very first bar where Czech women were allowed to go for a drink just themselves without being accompanied by her husband or father or some partner, right? So very cool. History was written there in 1912, right? So, and this is really it. I know I would be talking like for another hour if you guys had me.
Oh my gosh, I wish we could keep you for another hour. There's so much more. And Patty's saying like, "Oh, we need to do a food tour now at some point." And there's so many. We've only seen just the very, very surface. So it's been amazing.
Yeah, well, actually, right here behind me, somewhere is our guide Johanka, and she's meeting up with 10 people going for a food tour around the old town.
Awesome.
It's one of our meetings points here.
Well, maybe that's what we'll have to do. We'll coordinate a wonderful trip. We'll do a tour with you. We'll do a food tour. We'll get all the stuff. And this is just our taste.
for it. Well, thank you so much. I really love doing it, and thank you for all your comments. It's great to hear that a little bit of my passion for my gorgeous city came through to you. Definitely come over, check out our website, Prague City Adventures, our YouTube channel or Instagram, Facebook. So we have lots of tips for you when you come, and just really, even if you don't want to go for a tour, just ping me and I'll take you somewhere for a drink. Yeah.
I love it. Well, thanks so much, Misha. And don't forget, everybody, we've got a code Wonderful20. So if you want to sign up for a virtual tour, in-person tour, you can get 20% off. I so appreciate you taking the time to walk through the city with us. That was so fun.
For me as well. I really, really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Misha. Thanks everyone for joining. Have a great rest of your Saturday.
And happy holiday, right? Happy
And happy
Independence Day.
holiday to those in the States that are celebrating this weekend. Yes.
Yep.
Thank you. Have a great one,
Right.
everybody.
Ahoy, right?
Ahoy.